Hey, what's up there in YouTube land? Couldn't go to sleep yet. So I might do one of my little rants slash commentary of things that people ask me about. I'm one of those guys, that simple guy. Very simple guy. Here's the funniest part about it. Being that I'm a simple guy and people don't understand this, I have my I have my thoughts on certain things. Maybe I should do more recorded videos. I have a lot of these videos, as in some of my thoughts. But a lot of you probably know or don't know, I'm a lifelong comic book fan for those who are new. 80s baby cartoon fan. I never really give my sincerest um, commentary when it comes to subjects. But I will say this. One, I miss the simpler times. I really do miss the simpler times. Here's the simpler times when you could be a little kid and you were never asked about things as adult subjecty as sexuality, religion, politics. You were taught to know what is good and evil, how to do the right thing, something called morality or code, at least. Morality, the least, code at the highest. And I remember being a young boy watching the reruns of the 70s Wonder Woman. And 85, they came out with the spinoff of He Man and the Masters of the Universe called She-Ra and the Princess of Power. And I had to think to myself, okay, as a little boy, this is the female She-Ra. And I was like, wow, she's cool. The 5-year-old me did not think of this character as, oh, she's a woman, she's not capable, because it wasn't about her gender. It was the story that they told. Yes, some of those cartoons were campy, but they told a brilliant story. Unlike He Man, who played the part of the sheriff, the law, the representative of the order of Etheria, She-Ra played a different character. She was the revolutionary. And I thought to myself, of course not then, but when I was older, wow, She's fighting to free people. Wow. She's not the hero that everybody wanted. She's the hero that everybody needed. And this was in 85, very revolutionary for its time. She literally had the same powers as He-Man, like her twin brother, who we find out during the movie The Secrets of the Sword. She can invoke the powers of Grayskull by not saying by the power, but for the honor of Grayskull. Anybody who watches my channel faithfully knows that women protect the glory, the image, and the honor of her country, men, and children. And as I got older, that was very introspective. Because where the women go, so does the morality and the society. Where the men goes to the power and the defense. Men invoke power, women invoke honor. You give the men a reason what to fight for. Women give men the inspiration to actually fight. And what's very particular, when I was going back in YouTube a few minutes ago, when I looked at a episode of the 85 She-Ra Princess of Power, there was an episode that 40 years ago, nearly 30 years ago, excuse me, not 40, 30. Well, excuse me, let me excuse. She-Ra next year will be on her 40th anniversary. He-Man went through his 40th anniversary in 2023. So this cartoon's been out for 40 years, damn near, both. The episode was titled Stone and the Sword, where she went against this Doom, whatever, blimp that irradiated such terrifying energy and power that it literally cracked the stone inside of the Sword of Protection, which is She-Ra's sword, that transforms her from Princess Adora into the godlike She-Ra, which is the equivalent of Prince Adam, Sword of Power, that transforms into He-Man. Stick with me now, we're getting there. She goes through a journey to restore the sword, because without the gem being intact, she cannot evoke the power. The esoteric and introspective knowledge is going to hit you hard coming soon, don't worry. And she went through these trials, very dangerous trials. She had to literally climb a mountain. No superpowers. No real special gear except a rope and a grappling hook. She had to use her wits, her cunning, her skills that she's acquired. And I remember one of the times when she met the Elders of the Universe. I forget what they actually called them on the episode. If you want me to do a play-by-play of the episode, I will. And I will make sure everything is even more intact or better scripted. During that episode, when she was meeting the Elders of the Universe, she spoke to her unicorn, her steed. I know it's Swiftwind, but I guess it's Spirit when he's not transformed. And he said to her, no matter what happens when you go speak to them, I am proud of you. When's the last time you looked at an animated series when someone told the protagonist that I'm proud of you because you gave your best effort in a very daunting task? In the words of Green Gorilla GG, professor and PhD, in a laborious Herculean task. When she went inside this cave to speak to the elders of the universe, they spoke about her journey to reach them and said she went through all the maze. She used her cunning, her intelligence. She used her wits, her skills, not to gain the powers of the universe, which anybody who follows the mythos of the masters of the universe, they literally command the power of the universe in their hands when they invoke the power. They told her, and even as a young child, and when I saw the episode very vividly years later, you didn't do this to gain the powers of the universe. You did this just to help a friend. The young me and the older me. That statement right there stuck with me for almost 35 years. 35 years. That statement hit me like a ton of bricks. And every time I watched that episode, which after this live stream, which I'm kind of using as a recorded message, because I know most of my viewers and subscribers are asleep. I'm going to probably watch it again after this. It hit me so hard that I was like, wow. Even to this day, I'm like, that was amazing storytelling. And the storytelling was so compelling that you didn't give a damn if she was a female. You didn't give a damn if she was a male. You didn't care if she was straight, if she was gay, if she was black, white. You didn't care. But to go through those trials and tribulations like she did, just to gain the strength or the ability to help a friend, is boundless. That is excellent story writing. Because many people fail to realize that a lot of children growing up not only find their morality, their bravery, and their life lessons through their parents and their environment or culture, but they definitely get it through their mythos or their storytelling or their stories or their heroes. And to have such a compelling character like Adora, aka Shira, go through all those trials resonated not only through young girls but young boys. Where I told the story when I got off earlier, my son learned lessons on how to be a good friend when he stood up to a bully on the behalf of his friend and backed down a bully because the bully was so much stronger and bigger than his friend. And I had to say to myself, what if storytelling for young children was that groundbreaking? What if storytelling for the youth of America was that vivid. That you went through all these trials not to gain money, power, fame, but you did it to help a friend in need. Just to let you know, during that episode, Bo was captured by Hordak, held in his prison to be tortured. But she did all that just to rescue her friend. No wokeism. No women are better. No men are stupid. But just to help a friend. There wasn't no LBGT agenda. Just to help a friend. It's the gravity of something so simplistic, of something so simplistic that touches you, but it can be so, it has so much depth that it's equal to the ocean itself. The brilliance of that story speaks volumes generation and a half later, actually 2 generations later, where you can interchange the gender, the race, the culture, and it would speak to everyone's soul still the same. Because the hero's journey is respected by all. She didn't say that I need to be the hero because the woman needs to be the hero. You don't know how it feels to be a woman, Bo, Adam. No. She was like, damn all that. My friend needs me. And you wonder why billions are lost with Marvel and Disney. It's not the fact that people don't like female characters. It's just that people do not like Mary Sue's or people who have the world bend to their favor. If your heroes are not made to struggle, if your heroes are not made to represent times of peril, growth, and understanding, no one will accept them as fact. I've always said this. Superman is who he is because of what he biologically is. Batman is what he is because of what his parents left him and what he was able to travel to do. Wonder Woman is who she is because she earned it. Wonder Woman is not a superhero code name. That's the title of the champion of the Amazons. And let's look up that definition, champion, shall we? What is the definition of champion?
Here's the definition of champion. A person who has defeated or surpassed all rivals in a competition, especially in sports.
That's the first one. The second definition is a person who fights or argues for a cause or on the behalf of someone else. The support the cause or defender. So, Not only did she defeat all her rivals in a contest, but she was the person who fought for a cause for other people. In a historical term, is a person who fought. Yeah, excuse me, folks. A person who fought in single combat on behalf of the group. So, it's quite funny that you have movies like The Marvels, Madam Web, and you have all these executives putting out movies of all female cast. But think about it. I want to juxtapose that to Kill Bill. When Kill Bill came out, I didn't hear one man nor woman cheer against the bride, aka Beatrice. I didn't hear one person complain about her. I'm an 80s baby. Many a men cheered for Red Sonja, who's a very distinguished comic book heroine. No one cheered against that because they followed the same script as the boys when it came to the hero's journey. Let's look up the hero's journey, shall we? What is the definition of the hero's journey?
According to Reedsy blog, the hero's journey is a timeless story structure which follows a protagonist on an unforeseen quest, where they face challenges, gain insights, and return home transformed. From Theseus and the Minotaur to the Lion King, so many narratives follow this pattern that it's become ingrained into our cultural DNA.
Thank you, Google. Google's our friend. So, excuse me. When we look at the hero's journey, there's many of us who don't understand it. And I think because of a lot of these writers fail to understand it or refuse to understand it to be better in our speaking. It's pretty much the reason why nobody likes the wokeism. Nobody cares, I am here, woman, hear me roar, unless that woman goes through trials and tribulations and gains insight. Meaning, you cannot be like Rey, aka Rey Skywalker, and demolish all the previous content that was before you. You had to gain insight. You had to fail. Let me say that again. You had to fail. And when you fail, that gave you a different prospect of what you're doing. Let me summarize what the hero's journey attains to. Number one, the ordinary world, aka the world of safety. The world where there is no right or wrong. It's just the natural world, the world of safety, the world of comfort, if you will. It's the world of comfort. It's the world of comfort. Then there's a call to action. Okay? Afterwards, there's a refusal of the call, meaning there's many times your heroes did not want to be the hero. There's many times the hero was okay with the world falling on his axis. Okay? But are we still here? Excuse me. Hmm. Shout out to King Kazima. I know what you saw when they did to Tifa from Final Fantasy. Made the tits small after the viral trailer. I don't want to get into that. I may. I may. Um, Remember, I've said this before. Does the mentor seek out the student, or does the student seek out the mentor? There's sometimes a refusal to go to the journey. Some places they say there's supernatural aid or the guardian or the mentor. And what happens with such mentor is that they teach them the skills that are needed. Remember, the hero must first what? Leave the area of comfort, of familiarity. They can't be the hero and still be in the place of what? Comfort. You can't. It's impossible. They meet the mentor who gives them the skills, the tools, the object of what they need. Meaning, if there's a plague that's decimating their people, if there's a tyrant who's ruling their people, there has to be somehow, some way to combat that. There has to be some way to combat that. There are so many people in today's world who will refuse the hero's journey because they see it as being too tough, too brave, too much of a Herculean task. Okay? After they meet the mentor, they have to cross the threshold where they're entering danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. After crossing the threshold into danger, they must go through trials and tribulations, test. They may gain allies, but that's definitely the time when they lead into going into meeting the enemy. Okay? Into going into the unknown. When they go past the threshold from the world of safety, they must go into the world of the unknown. Are y'all following me? Just let me know if you're following me. Let me know. We got 3 people watching. Let me know who's in the chat. I do not expect this to be my largest viewing audience. Okay? Okay? But at least some audience participation. If you feel like you want to donate, I'm not even asking for donations, but if you feel as you want to, please do. You're going to cross the first threshold, which means you're going to start. Once you go through your training, think of it as your basic training, your coaching, your instructions. Now you're set to go from the blue pill world into the red pill world. Okay, let me know who's in the audience with me listening. It gives a lot of support there, fellas and ladies. During this time, which is the 6th part, the test, the gaining of allies. Sometimes your allies may become your first enemies or your first opposition. And how you handle yourself through not only adversity, victory, but also defeat, you're going to gain the respect of others and they'll become your allies. And some, unfortunately, may become your mortal enemies. Step 7, which is referred to as your innermost cave, is usually where other people say, hey, that's where the hero is meeting his crucial or his doom. The approach is something different. When you're met with the opposition in 7, there must be a death. There must be a great ordeal where either the mentor dies, the hero is shamed or beaten, or the MacGuffin is stolen. Some great catastrophe or failure has arisen. Remember in Judeo Christian faith, death, burial, and resurrection? The same thing goes through the hero's journey. A lot of times, this is the moment where the hero faces his greatest loss or defeat. In step 8, which is ordeal, death, and rebirth. Okay. You following me, folks, aren't you? Now, during this time, the hero usually finds either the death of the mentor, the death of an ally, the loss of the MacGuffin or the object of desire. For those of you who don't know what MacGuffin is, that's usually the object of desire. Perfect example, the MacGuffin of Dragon Ball or the Dragon Balls. Everybody wants the Dragon Balls to make a wish, regardless if it's to make them taller, immortal, or the most powerful fighter in the universe. There's usually something lost of great value. And King Cousin, that's exactly where it's based from. This step 8 is also called the Abyss, the Death, and the Rebirth. I can even go into other more detailed when they talk about the second threshold, where it's the supreme ordeal. The first threshold is getting out the place of comfort. Where there's going to be great loss. Then, in some instances, there's supposed to be something called the refusal of return, meaning the hero becomes disenfranchised, demoralized. His spirit and his warrior ways are gone. This is next to that, people can sum up as seizing the sword. You know, this guy right here, you know, when he says these magic words, when you finally invoke something.
By the power of Grayskull.
Okay, we're following, right? Probably woke everybody to fuck up. There's a reason why Prince Adam had to journey to seize the sword. Because the first time the sorceress and man of arms told him about his destiny, what did he do? He refused. Until his father in Eternia was attacked by his uncle Skeletor, who he didn't know was his uncle at the time. He had to go back after that catastrophe, after great sorrow and regret. And he had to be rescued from without. Not only from without, but also from within. The hero had to rescue his broken, depressed soul from without anyone's assistance, but also from within. Are y'all following me? And this is the reason why a lot of your woke movies are not selling, because you do not capture the essence of the human soul and the triumph of it as well. You don't understand tragedy. What did John Hagee say in one of his sermons? Problem, promise, provision. How you look at your problem determines how long you stay in it, and also what happens afterwards. That's one of the most important lessons the hero learns. There's some of them called the death of dreams after this state, because he took the sword and he learned to invoke the power, like He-Man just said. He gets tempted to quit. He gets tempted to lean into quote unquote the dark side. He gets tempted to leave well enough alone. He or she. So this is the time of what after his great catastrophe and failure? Atonement. Somebody put that in the chat. Atonement. Please, somebody put the definition of atonement in the chat. This is one of the greatest parts that we are missing from this woke storytelling. Okay? And there are so many examples I'm copying right now from different people's perspective on my cell phone about the hero's journey. You have a call to action, the initiation, the transformation, and the hero's return. Here's the parts, the two main parts that the woke crowd does not understand is the initiation and the transformation. Nobody wants a hero that can't be transformed. Nobody wants a hero that's untested, that's not initiated. Could you respect a soldier who never went through basic training? Could you respect a police officer who's never went through the police academy? No, you cannot. You didn't, what's the old phrase called? Earn your stripes. Right? Right? We listening, right? We tracking. Then, not the example of atonement, the definition of atonement. What is atonement? This lets me know we have audience participation. I don't care if I have 4 people to 400 people live. We must participate to let the speaker know that we are engaged. And engagement is a great reward. There has to be an atonement. There has to be something he must pay forward, either through the death of his mentor, the death of an ally, the stolen artifact, the MacGuffin, the loss of his faith, strength, power, or abilities, or confidence, even. There must be an atonement for that. He must be transformed forever, renewed through atonement, through accomplishment. There must be a unification of not only his training, his past life, his current situation, but also the future. He must transform forever his soul. And sometimes he must even, the reconciliation or repentance. There must be a penance paid. There must be a sacrifice. After his revelation, guess what the next journey is? What happened to Luke Skywalker when he met with Palpatine and Darth Vader? He was tempted into the dark side. Let me ask you this one question for all you Star Wars fans. What colors did Luke wear when he met with Vader and Palpatine in Return of the Jedi? What colors did he wear? I'm waiting for somebody to put that in the chat. What colors did he wear? We're gonna do the Jeopardy question. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Boom, boom, boom. What colors did Luke Skywalker wear when he met Palpatine and Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi? George Steele says gray. No, he didn't wear gray. Two more times. What colors did Luke Skywalker wear when he met with Palpatine and Vader in Return of the Jedi? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Don't worry, I'm waiting. We'll get to the story. Don't worry. Do 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 do. Somebody give me color. Do 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 do. Don't be ashamed if you give the wrong answer. It's going to be the correct answer by the time we finish. Are you ready? Give me a woo if you're ready for the answer. Give me a woo in the chat if you're ready for the answer. Thank you, George. He wore black. Do you know what the representation of him wearing black was? The representation of him wearing black was that he could never go back to where he started the journey. He was black pill. He did not have morality of the society anymore. He had a code. Thank you, George. George the Animal Steel. Woo! Thought I didn't catch the name, did you? He wore black. It's like your 18-year-old boy going off the war. Does he come back to where he was when he left? If you send your 17, 18-year-old boy to the military and he gets called up for war and he comes back to you 19, 20 years old, is he back the same person? Is he back the same person? Does he return to you as the same person? No. No, he does not. Not even close. During this time, he goes through not only his death, but rebirth. And during this time, he must face the same evil that he lost to. He must overcome it with physical might, mental prowess, emotional stability, or spiritual strength. or all of the above at the same moment. He must rise against the temptation. He must be skilled to take on that challenge by himself, learning from his past trials and tribulations, his past losses. What did Luke lose the first battle against Darth Vader? What did he lose? There you go, his arm. What else did he lose with his first battle against Darth Vader? There's 3 things he lost. What else? What are the other 2 things he lost? One is his arm, or at least his forearm to hand. There you go, his confidence. And what was the last thing he lost? What was the last thing he lost, people? I know it's early morning or late night for some of you, but I love the participation. Thank you all, folks. No, he already lost his innocence. He lost his innocence when he fought in the original Star Wars. He wasn't innocent anymore by then. He wasn't innocent. When you're fighting in a war at first, because he was a warrior then, he didn't have innocence then. He lost his lightsaber. He lost the means to protect and defend. Remember this?
By the power of Grayskull.
So what power did he have to protect and defend when he lost his saber? What happened to Luke after that battle that he lost to Vader? He had to be reborn. He had to go back from square one, A1. What did Yoda tell him? You don't try, just do. The Force was a natural occurrence to him. He-Man can invoke the power of his ancestor, King Grayskull, who is now in the continuity black, so I guess that's why He-Man turns darker when he invokes the power of Grayskull. He invokes the power of his black ancestor. What does He-Man say when he holds up the sword of power? By the power of Grayskull, by the power of my ancestors, which is African spirituality, but I ain't want to tell you, but you didn't hear that one from me. Shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. He invokes the power of his ancestors. And when he transforms, what does He-Man say? Somebody put it in the chat. This is how I know I have my participation and people are listening. What does He-Man say after he's transformed? I know it's late for people, but I know people are listening. Are you putting up what I'm putting down? What does He-Man say after he's transformed? Thank you. I have the power. What type of power do you hold? I have the power to change the destiny of myself and those I protect. When your parents got up to work, when you were a child, they had the power to change your destiny every day they went to work. Each time you learned something new in school, you had the power to make a greater destiny for yourself and the generations after you. Are y'all feeling me on this? So there had to be a transformation from the great loss to the, as you use in Judeo Christian faith, death, burial, resurrection. Which is part of the hero's journey, by the way, if nobody's counting. The great ordeal. The great ordeal. Okay? We tracking. The great ordeal had to transform him. When you go to the gym, are you starting at the big weights or the light weights? You're starting at the light. Each and every time you work out, you're transforming yourself. You're gaining the power until you reach the apex, the zenith, the premiere. The Mount Zion, if you will. I want you to think about that. You're meeting the Mount Zion. You're going against your greatest foe. You're going against your greatest foe. You're going against what is challenging you at the moment. Many of you realize he's going against his greatest enemy. He's going to be tempted by his greatest enemy. He's going to be challenged by his greatest enemy. Do you feel me? That challenge is usually going to be against insurmountable odds. The ultimate boon. You're going to fight your enemy at his greatest zenith of power. Let me know if y'all still in the chat. You ain't sleeping on me, are you? And what happens? That hero must go against his enemy at his greatest strength, his greatest power, on usually the enemy's turf, where the enemy has the overwhelming advantage, insurmountable odds, it seemed like. But the hero always figures out a way to what? Prevail. It's not because he's the greatest or the strongest. It's not because he's the mightiest. It's because he is the person who wants to endure, who's capable of enduring the most. I ain't ready for this. Y'all want me to stop talking now? I will sign off and stop talking. Let me know if you're ready for me to stop talking. Let me stop talking, please. Let me stop talking. At this moment, when seizing the sword, reclaiming his identity, becoming anew, being reborn, consequences of attempt, acceptance of a new life must occur. The newest and greatest challenge, which is 10, and redirection of such power must occur. The road back to salvation. Somebody put salvation in the chat. The definition of salvation. What's the definition of salvation, chat? And I'm pleased to have 4, 5, 2 to 1 people in my chat, because you're getting the skivvies. Don't worry, I'm going to do another live stream about the hero's journey. He must look for the salvation of his people, himself, and sometimes he must be the salvation of his enemy or opposition. And where do you see this in the woke? To be saved from something. The damsel in distress, the people under a great illness, the master dying of an illness, the ring that rules all others, the power of Grayskull, the sword of omens, the eye of Thundera, the Omnitrix, the Ultra Spark, all the money in the world, world domination, He must be the salvation to be saved from something. There has to be something to be rescued. Right? There has to be something to be rescued. There has to be something to be protected. Chapter 11 gives us what? The final attempts, the last minute of danger. This is when the hero is usually at his most vulnerable, or the enemy is at their most dangerous. This is when sometimes the hero has to be his own salvation. Mm. Sometimes he must be the salvation of his people. Sometimes he might even have to be the salvation of his enemy. There may come upon a time where you may have to go against your own friend to save their soul or their life. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Give me a woo in the chat if you are. Mm. Where have you seen this in a woke movie? Where have you seen it? This is usually when, for example, when Luke defeats Darth Vader, what does Palpatine say to him? The Emperor, destroy him. Luke's refusal to destroy his father, Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, actually gave salvation, was the bridge to salvation for Anakin's soul. Okay? That was the bridge to salvation for his soul. Look at the movie Superman 2. He gave up all his godlike power to be with the woman he loved. Nothing wrong with that. But he learned a hard lesson. The world needs a Superman. He was not allowed to leave his post. He could still find love, but he's not allowed to leave his post. Your duty overtakes many things in life. Your duty takes things. The hero's duty overrides his personal wants and dreams. When he refused, being Luke, to destroy his father, he gave salvation to his father's soul. And with salvation comes redemption. You're right. A greater cause than oneself is the biggest part of being the hero. Hey George, do you see this in modern hero stories? No, you do not. Because a lot of these people, aka Captain Marvel, the Marvels, Madam Web, all these chicks in these movies, there's always a selfish ploy. Rey Skywalker, it was all about them instead of the duty that was greater than them. Why do you think the first Wonder Woman movie was a classic? Because the duty, she had to give up love to do her sworn duty. She had to fight the literal god of war for mankind to persist. She had to give redemption back to mankind. She had to sacrifice, never seeing her mother ever again. And if you looked at the second Wonder Woman movie, which re-emphasizes the fact it was a great story, believe it or not. It was a great story. Shout out to Electrician 303. 480. The reason why is because when you look at the second Wonder Woman story, what was that? Wonder Woman 84? She had to sacrifice her heart's desire for the greater good and purpose of humanity. This is why she's the ultimate female hero. Because she had to do a duty that was greater than her own heart's desire. She had to give, she's an immortal being who can never go back home. She's an immortal being who said, as soon as you step foot off of here, you can never come back. Shout out to my man for the cigar fund. Electrician 480. Woo! She had to make that choice in the hero's journey. And notice, I'm using Wonder Woman, a female protagonist, a heroine, for this example. She had to resist the temptation of having love forever. She had to defeat herself before she could defeat her enemy. She had to overcome worldly desires, the flesh that she thought she deserved. And God knows that she deserved love out of anybody, especially when he sacrificed himself in the first movie. But she know what is love when everybody else is around you suffering. Somebody put that in the chat. What is love and desire when the world is falling apart, when the world's suffering? When you look at Rey in the movies, what did Rey lose? Nothing. This is the reason why the woke storytelling and agendas, I won't even call it storytelling, the woke agendas are losing billions. What did your hero sacrifice? What did they earn? What trials and tribulations did they go through? Why can't they stand on the ground of heroes before them? Because nobody likes a hero that's never been truly tested. You cannot tell in bad story writing that she was equal to a guy who was formerly trained by the greatest Jedi of all time? Get the I'm sorry. That's my take on the hero's journey. Shout out to Salji. You asked for it, brother. That's my take on it. The hero's journey. When you get the mastery of the journey, there's no beast you can't defeat. There's no mountain that's too high to climb. You become the master yourself, the master of your destiny, the captain of your fate. If anybody wants to give their 2 cents about what I spoke about, you're welcomed. If not, I'll end it shortly. But shout out to Salji for giving me the inspiration to do this. I know I could have done this at an earlier time, but I couldn't go to sleep and some things were burning in my head. So you got to forgive me. You got to forgive me. There's the link for anybody. I'll wait for a couple of minutes. Anybody want to come up and give their 2 cents of what they were listening to? I hope that people on the watch back will listen very intently. And you could probably hear the passion in my voice of what I feel about this subject matter. There are little boys out there who learn great lessons from their heroes, both physical and imaginary, who garner what would insert hero would do if I were in their shoes. There's sometimes you're going to take an ass kicking, but is it for the right cause? We don't want people unseasoned. Your heroes have to be seasoned. They have to go through something. They have to go through the trials and they have to go through the journey. When, to all you woke writers, if you do not follow that hero's journey, you're going to lose billions. You're going to lose the respect. What are you going to teach the next generation in your parables, in your stories? And I digress on that. You wonder why Disney is losing. You wonder why all this woke content is losing. Because it does not resonate to the human spirit. Not the man spirit, not the woman spirit, but the human spirit. That which does not resonate gets lost. That which does not resonate is cast aside. Nobody's coming up. So, whoo! Charles Faulkner Jr. Signing out. Hit the music.
Woo!